Hey guys, Ezra here and welcome back to another Ezra review. And on today's video, I want to review Police Story, which is probably one of the best Jackie Chan movies. And I just want to talk about this movie, because I've been planning to talk about like the older Jackie Chan movies, because I was a big fan of Jackie Chan, and I just want to talk about it, talk about why I love this movie, and why I think this is one of the best Jackie Chan movies, and why it does influence a lot of action sequence, for future movies as well. But before this review starts, I guess I want to give you guys a little bit of a backstory why this movie came to be. Like this movie was made by Jackie Chan as a response to his I think his U.S. movie, I think it's called The Protectorate, which is released in 1985. And on that behind the scenes storyline, apparently Jackie Chan and the director of that movie, they have a clash. They have like creative differences. And because again, it was made by a different company, like Hong Kong and U.S., the United States or Hollywood. So obviously the Protector movie are having had like a different editing style. It's much more slower. Jackie Chan is cursing all the time, and the director James Glickenhaus, basically again James and Jackie, they clash a lot, and because of that movie, Jackie Chan decided to make Police Story. So that's how Police Story came to be. And on one hand, I was like, yeah, I did watch the US version of The Protector, because like that movie has two versions, which is like the US version and then the Hong Kong version. And obviously, the Hong Kong version is way better. That's like the Jackie Chan style of fight scenes. But I still have to thanks that movies, because like that movie give Jackie Chan the passion and the drive to make Police Story, and now Police Story is regarded one of the best action movies ever, and it's not hard to see why, and yeah, and the thing is that this movie is such it has like a huge impact on Hollywood, and then there is probably some movies that you watch in the that you watch that you have like some influence from the Police Story movies, and yeah, this movie is absolutely amazing, so I also want to give you guys a bit of backstory about my experience with Jackie Chan, because like I know Jackie Chan from this movie called The Medallion, which is like one of the worst Jackie Chan movies ever. There is some fun when I was first time watching it, but I remember falling in love with Jackie Chan, because he is so funny. He's a martial artist, like he's the actor that introduced me to martial arts, and I become a big fan of martial arts movie ever since, thanks to Jackie Chan. But then one day I decided to check out Police Story, and man, I was surprised to see how brutal Jackie Chan was in this movie, how fast and how angry Jackie Chan was, because this is the prime Jackie Chan. The previous Jackie Chan movie that I watched is mostly like the American movies, like Mr. Nice Guys, Rumble in the Bronx, which is they're good movies, but I feel like they're nothing compared to Police Stories, because like this movie is way more violent compared to those movies. Jackie Chan is way more angrier compared to the other movies, and I can feel the emotion for the main characters, here, so I really really love that. But yeah, so get into the reviews. Police Story basically told us a police officer from Hong Kong named Chun Kak Koi, and played by Jackie Chan, obviously. And in the movie itself, we figure out that it's a secret operation that was conducted by the Hong Kong police force to capture one of the crime lord named Chu Tao, I think, right? Chu Tao. And during this operation, sadly, I think the team makes some mistakes, and then the bad guys manage to, hey, there is a police officer that was undercover, and we have to escape, and this led to our first big action sequence, where there's some shootout in the beginning, not just a tiny bit, which I think is pretty fun. But the biggest moment in the opening sequence is actually where you see three cars, including Kako's car, basically ramming through like a small village, and it was insane, man. Like when I first watched that, I was like, holy shit, they did that for real. They're breaking down the entire village, and I was like, god damn, man, those poor people that was living in that village, because I think yeah, it's their play, it's their home, and they get destroyed by three cars. You're like, holy shit, and it's one of the most well-known, I guess, visual from these movies. Every single time it's like a car, like just going through like a bunch of buildings, going down to the hill. That, yeah, it was from Police Stories. The best example is actually Bad Boys 2, where in the end of that movie, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence character went down through like a bunch of like houses, and then it was clearly a homage to Police Stories, so there's that. And yeah, it was insane, man, watching that action sequence for the first time. But after that, it leads to like one of the best stunt ever, where Jackie Chan ran after the bad guys, in a bus, and then we hear the Police Story song, which I think one of the best song that Jackie Chan ever sing, because again, Jackie Chan is a man of many talents, like he's a director, he's a stunt coordinator, he's a martial artist, a fighter, and then he's also a singer. So the man can do anything, man. Like, he's a multi-talented guy, and I really respect him for that, and yes, his song for the Police Story is absolutely amazing, man. It's one of the best song ever, but anyway, we see Jackie Chan dangling off the bus, using an umbrella, and I think people already, again, it's like one of the most well-known stunt from Jackie Chan, and yeah, it's absolutely amazing how he did that for real, but in the end there, they managed to capture the bad guys, after after Kakwe basically stopped the bus, and then like three of the stuntmen just like went out the bus, and I heard that behind the scenes that they were supposed to hit like the car in front of them, so they can actually stop the fall, but no, and all three the stuntmen hit an asphalt like directly into the head, and I think they were rushed directly to the hospital, and like it's absolutely insane, the amount of stunt that they do, so not just Jackie, but also like the other Jackie Chan stuntmen, as well. But yeah, this is where Jackie Chan managed to capture the bad guys, and at one point they tried to convince this one person, I think Chu Tao, like secretary, that she like named Selena Fong, played by Brigitte Lin, so she's the secretary of Chun Tao, so they tried to convince Selena to testify against Chu Tao, but obviously because she was loyal to Chu Tao, she refuses to do that, but I think along the way, I think Chu Tao came to that decision to basically get rid of Selena, because like, again, Chu Tao doesn't trust Selena, and then she might open her mouth, and then it will be the end of his criminal organization, so that's why they tried to send a bunch of bad guys after her, but before that, we see one of the Jackie Chan's like friend, named Kim, played by Mars. Mars is basically the one of the Jackie Chan well-known stunt team, and then he basically infiltrate Selena's house, wearing a mask and pretending to kill her using a knife, and there is a couple of funny moments there, and then basically they try to convince Selena that, hey, like Chuto's gonna send their man after, and then it was so funny that where it's like where the job well done, and then Kim is trying to escape, and then like Selena just hit him with like a vase or something like that, and then he was passed out, and then you see Kako just like trying to keep him up, like, oh, please don't pass out, man, come on, you have to get out, you have this plan has to work, because obviously Selena cannot see his true face, because obviously she will connect that to the Kako's police team, so that's why he's wearing a mask. It was super funny the way Jackie Chan using like the physical comedy on the scenes. It was super funny. I love that. But after this basically convinced Selena to like cooperate with Chen Kako, and then obviously Kako still thinks that, oh, nothing bad will happen, Chuto is not gonna send any other man, and that's why he was super relaxed, even after all of that, because it was all a joke, right? And then this is where Chuto's man actually came in, and then we get to see another action sequence here, which I think is amazing. We see two cars connected together, and then I love the way Jackie Chan again using his environment. I mean, Jackie Chan always know how to use the environment really well, and which is why I love this fight scene a lot. Like a bunch of guy using baseball try to hit Kako, and then Kako just like beating the shit out of them, and then using the environment of the car as well. They're breaking glasses in the car. He jumps through like one car to another car. That was amazing, and the action sequence kind of ended in a funny way, where Selena basically using a gun to basically telling the bad guys to freeze, and then Chun Kako was like, hey, please give me the gun, and like, it's okay, and then she accidentally shot the gun, and then the bad guys just ran away. So after that, that's where Kako and Selena decide to work together, and Selena decide to testify against Chutao so she can be safe. And after that, after they went home, they figure out that Chun Kaku actually had like a birthday, I think, and then his girlfriend named May, played by Maggie Cheung, and then May basically mistook the situation, and then she threw like a cake to Kakoi, and which is a funny scene. And then after that, there is even a funnier scene where we see Kakoi just trying to basically bad mouthing May, but not realizing that May was actually in there in the house, because Kakoi thought that, oh, May was still out there, right? And then May and Selena kind of like working together to basically prank Kakoi, and then Kakoi basically like insulting his girlfriend, and then not realizing she was right behind him. And it leads to the funny moments where he talks big, pretending to be like somebody's on the phone, even though that nobody's on the phone, but he's pretending to insult his girlfriend, trying to look badass, I guess, in front of Selena, and then he turns around and he sees May there, and then he's like, oh no, this is bad, and then like May throw another cake to Kaku's face, which is even funnier. And then there's also a funny scene between May and Kaku, where May tries to leave, and then Kaku basically grabbed the I think the bag that May has, and then he accidentally, basically pulling May out of the bike, and then man, that must hurt, man. Like poor Maggie Chung, because I know that they did that for real, right? There's no way they faking that this is Jackie Chan after all, Jackie Chan movies are, by the way, directed by Jackie Chan, and it's like, oh man, it was funny, watching May getting like dragged by Kaku, and then like falling to the ground really hard, but I feel like, oh, like that looks real, man. I feel like, oh, poor May, man, but anyway, after the relationship getting broke, by these mistakes, Selena realized that the guy that was wearing a mask inside her house is actually Chun Kaku's friend, and then this is where Selena decide to flirting with Kaku, and then try to, I don't know, just try to mess with him essentially, and this leads to a very, very, really, really fatal mistakes the next day, where Kaku basically arrived at the court, and then he can't find Selena, because he thinks that Kaku is just messing with him, and then it was all the bad guys was actually sent by Kaku because of that connection that she missed in the house, so that's why Selena doesn't testify against Chu Tao. But in the courthouse, which I think is a pretty good scene as well, Kaku basically decided to use this evidence in the tape, against Chu Tao, and there is some funny scenes, where he plays like a Hong Kong music, instead of like the testimony, and then the testimony actually play, and then it was actually recording the part where Selena was flirting, quote unquote, flirting with Kaku, and it becomes like really weird and really awkward, but they basically free Chu Tao, because there is not enough evidence against him. And after that, we see another some comedic scene as well, where we see Chun Kaku in the police office alone, and then there is a bunch of calls coming in, and you get to see Jackie Chan physical comedy, some funny dialogue as well, one guy losing a cow, one of them has some marriage problem, and then one of them is like I think has another problem. I forgot what it was. There's like 3 calls, I think, and then actually four calls. One of them is including May's call. And it was so funny the way Kaku is just like trying to handle the situation the best as he can, but he always like hang up the phone in the wrong order, so that's why it becomes so funny, where he just doesn't pay attention to the cable of the phone, and it was just like, man, I'm glad we have handphone now, because like I cannot imagine that using like there's like a 12 different phone, and then you have to grab and call every single one of them. Like, man, that must be a nightmare, but it does make for a funny scenes, and there is even funny, where I think Chen Kaku tried to convince one of them to buy like a birth control pill or something like that, but because he was holding the 2 phone right in his mouth, he accidentally saying this to May, and May mistakenly think that, oh, he was talking about May's mother to buy the birth control pill, and it was just so funny, like, oh, wait, May, no, it was a mistake, and it was like, yep, good job, and after that, it was revealed that the phone call was just like an exercise, apparently, which is, Jackie Chan Kaku gets a tip, from his partner, where his undercover partner, basically a traitor, I think, and this is where he tries to infiltrate Chutao's home, and then that's where he saw Selena getting tied up in the house, because like Selena has, even though the Selena still sided with Chutao, like their relationship is still framed, from what happens in the previous events, and that's why Chutao decided to use her as like a bait to Chen Kako, and then they basically try to set up Chen Kaku's, crime, basically, where he tries to kill a cop, because one of the Chutao's men was actually part of the Hong Kong police officers, and then you can see this man in the beginning of the movies, he was working with Chutao, and this is where he tried to betray Chen Kaku, and then it was eventually revealed that this whole plan was set up to basically frame Chen Kaku, so so the bad guy uses Kaku's gun to shoot the traitor, and then that's where they frame Chen Kaku, and it's clearly working, and at some point, Chen Kaku decided to return to the police department, and then he has a heated argument with the police chief, because like the chief inspector, Raymond, basically I don't think he really cares a lot about the police officers in his department, or I guess like he just sit there in the chair and comfortably, and then he doesn't really do the job, and that really pissed off Kaku, and then that's where he held the chief inspector at gunpoint, literally. And then, man, I gotta say, I want to praise Jackie Chan performance, because like this movie is so funny, but when it got serious, it got really, really serious, and then you can see the acting range of Jackie Chan, he was so angry in this scene, and he's like pointing the gun at the other officers, he also got super angry at Raymond, and he basically called out Raymond, hey man, like we were all out there trying to fight for our lives, meanwhile you were just sitting here getting medals, getting some praise, from the higher ups, even though he doesn't do shit, and that really pissed him off, and then afterward they decide to drive off with the inspector, and then in the middle of the road, Kako decided to let Raymond go, because like he won't be able to shoot him, he's not gonna shoot the inspector, because he's a good guy, and this is where Raymond realized that, what, Kako, you do have a point, and I basically tell Kako that be very careful, because Kako tried to catch Chutao, and then that's where the chief inspector wished him good luck, and then because afterward they have to catch Kaku, after everything he's done, but this leads us to one of the best final fight scene ever, the mall fight scene, which what more can you say about this mall fight scene, man? I think everybody who is a big fan of Jackie Chan, you guys already know the fight scene in the mall, which is absolutely amazing, because Jackie Chan or Chen Kaku is trying to protecting Selena, from getting because she got like the files, the evidence for Chutao's crime, and then there's a bunch of bad guys after her, and you get to see so many amazing action sequences, some stunts, there's some guy basically sliding off the escalator, which is pretty impressive, and then we also see Jackie Chan do some stunts, where he basically getting thrown out of the window or something like that to like the ground floor, which hurt his back a lot, clearly, as you can see some of the behind the scenes stuff, because Chen Kaku is like trying to fight like one of the main bad guy named Danny, played by Fong Hark On, and yeah, this leads to a fight scene in like a shop, and then there's a bunch of glass in there. And this is where Police Story becoming Glass Story, which is that's what the stuntman called the movie, when they're shooting the scenes, because so many glass are getting break left and right. We see one guy doing a stunt into another glass, and one guy getting thrown to another glass. We see Selena try to perform her own stunts, or I guess like Brigitte Lee try to perform her own stunts, getting thrown into a table, and then afterward to like a glass again, which is like, damn, man, like holy shit, that must have hurt, man. But we see again during the fights, there is a lot of highlights. Obviously we see Chen Kaku fighting 4 guys, and the fight scene was super fast, but again you can clearly see the movement between the stuntman and Jackie Chan himself, because again the directing is absolutely amazing, and all the stunt are doing their own stunts, and then you see a bunch of glass getting breaks, and it's absolutely amazing, but after that we see Jackie Chan versus Danny, and I gotta say when I first watched this scene, I was like super into it, you know, where it's like it was super intense, and I was really rooting for Kakui to beat the shit out of him, you know, because like I really hated the bad guy. Even though this is not exactly Chutao, you know, but it's one of the main henchmen of Chutao, you know. And it's like, yeah, it's one of the most, I guess, in for me when I first watched it, it was one of the most intense fight scene ever, thanks to the story and thanks to Jackie Chan's acting, you know, especially if you guys like see his face when he was fighting Danny, like he was so angry at Danny, you know, and then he tried to beat the shit out of Danny, you know, and I was like rooting for him, like, yes, please beat the shit out of him, you know, like get him, you know. But eventually I think this leads to like one of the best stunt ever, you know, where Jackie Chan riding a Yamaha motorbike, and then he rams like one bad guy to a multiple glass, you know, which is like, damn, okay, a lot of glass man getting break, you know, which is so amazing to watch, you know. But yeah, Danny also unsurprisingly getting thrown into a glass, of course, you know, before running to an escalator, you know, and then we see Jackie Chan performing these stunts, you know, for real, obviously, where he jumps to like a moving escalator, which is like, that's really freaky, man, you know, because if this was like a stair, you know, then it was fine, you know, because like he could just like time the I guess like he could just find the right position to jump, you know. It's still dangerous, you know, because you could break your leg, you know, but this was a moving escalator. Remember that it's a moving escalator, and then Jackie Chan is like jumping into a moving escalator. Like there is some timing, and there is a moment where if he fucks up, then like he could like he could hurt his ankle, you know, his leg, you know. And I think that jump is absolutely impressive, you know. The fact that he did that for real with the timing and everything like that is absolutely impressive. And this also leads to Kaku beating the shit of Danny again, you know, and then Danny got thrown into the escalator, you know, which is also pretty painful. But this led us to one of the best well-known Jackie Chan stunt ever, you know, where he sliced down a pole wrapped in light bulbs, you know. And I think Jackie Chan talk about this behind the scenes stuff a lot, you know, where he burned his hand, you know, sliding down that pole, because obviously, you know, like he doesn't wear any gloves, you know, so obviously it is gonna burn his hands, you know. And I think he breaks several ribs as well, you know. And the thing that going to catch Jackie Chan in the ground is actually not like a huge mattress. No, it's actually just 2 boxes of candy. 2 boxes of candy that basically catch Jackie Chan. Like, what the fuck, man? Like that was such a huge gamble, you know, because Jackie Chan is crazy, of course, you know, but I don't think he was this crazy. But no, he was absolutely that insane, you know. And I think this is the first time that I witnessed a true Jackie Chan stunt, you know, because again, like the previous Jackie Chan movie that I watched, usually they just like, there's some stunts, you know, there's some fun moments, you know, but this is where Jackie Chan was in his 40s, you know, where he tried to move to Hollywood a little bit, you know, after Rush Hour, you know. So like the stunt wasn't insane, you know, so I wasn't exactly aware that Jackie Chan did many dangerous stunts, you know. This is the first time I watched it, you know, back in my childhood, and I was absolutely blown away, you know, especially the fact that they repeat the scene 3 fucking times. That's how epic this entire thing was, you know. And I'm glad they did, you know. I think this will be remembered as one of the most well-known stunt of Jackie Chan, you know. He is insane. The man is a monster, you know. The man is a legend, and he is a superhero in real life, you know. But anyway, this led us to some scenes, you know, in the end, you know, where they try to catch Chuta, you know, where the police finally arrive, you know, alongside with the Chief Inspector Raymond, you know. So now Raymond is like basically took Kaku's advice, you know, where now he was present on the field, you know. He's not just sitting there in the office, you know, like doing nothing, but no, he was there in the field and tried to capture, I guess, Kaku and then Chutao as well, you know. And eventually after this, you know, we see like one of the Chutao's lawyer arrive, you know, and then I absolutely love, you know, Jackie Chan face expression here as well, you know, because like he was so angry at the lawyer, you know. He was so angry that the fact that the bad guys keep getting away, and he basically punched the lawyer 2 times, and I was so satisfied when he punched that fucking lawyer, you know, because I really hated that character, you know. So like, yeah, I really enjoyed that, you know. And this also, yeah, Jackie Chan also punched Chuta in the stomach a bunch of time, and it was also equally satisfying before kicking him into like a trolley, and then like he kicks the trolley into like a stand or something like that, you know, and break another glass, of course, not surprisingly, you know. Glass story, right? But yeah, but that's how the movie essentially ends, you know. And I think interestingly, there's a different version of this ending, you know, where we see Chen Kako actually getting arrested for his crime, you know, because like he did put the chief inspector at gunpoint, and obviously there's a crime, and then he also breaks so many mall property in the end there. So obviously the mall is gonna sue the police department, you know. So obviously he gets arrested in the end, you know. But in the Hong Kong ending, it was different, you know, where he just beat and shoot on, and then after that, it was the ending. It was basically ending in a freeze frame, you know, which I think maybe I like this ending a bit better, you know, basically saying that yeah, Kakui's won, you know, so that's way more satisfying, you know. But at the same time, I don't really hate the alternate ending as well, you know, because it makes a lot more sense, you know. So anyway, either way, the movie ends spectacularly, you know, hearing that Police Story song again, you know, which I think again one of the best Jackie Chan song, you know. I love that song a lot. It pumps me up every single time I hear it, you know, and it's such a best way to end the movie using that song, and then obviously showing the behind the scenes stuff, you know, classic Jackie Chan. It's great stuff, you know. And yeah, I really love this movie, guys. As you guys can tell already, the fight scene in the mall is like the best fight scene ever, you know. It's probably one of the most well-known fight scene with Jackie Chan, you know. But I think interestingly enough, you know, like rewatching this movie, I realized that the action was like so far in between, to be honest, you know, because I think when people describe Police Story, it was like, oh, it was action packed from beginning to the end, you know. But I feel like watching the movie, it wasn't exactly an action packed movie, you know? I mean, there's a lot of action, you know, but I think there is a huge action in the beginning of the movie. There's a little bit in the middle, you know, with Selena and Kako in the car, you know. Like there was like, yeah, I mean, it's a good fight sequence, you know, but after that, you know, where they get to the court, they get to the house, and like basically this is just a bunch of like drama and storyline and characters and some funny comedic scenes with a lot of the characters, you know. There's a lot of that in the middle of the movie, and it becomes like this huge like gap between the beginning huge action sequence with the end action sequence in the mall, you know. Which again, I'm not complaining, you know, but because my main point is this, guys, you know. I think if you are making action movies, you know, obviously yes, the action is like one of the best ingredient and one of the main ingredient in an action movie, obviously, you know. But I think Police Story shows that you need a good character, you need a good storyline, you know, and then obviously you need some great action sequence as well, you know. And I think it shows that even though there is in the middle portion where there is no action at all, I still really enjoy the movie, guys, you know, because I was engaged with the story. I love the characters, you know, so that's why I don't mind spending time with Chun Kako, you know. Especially Jackie Chan is such an amazing performer as well, you know. Like he's playing such a funny and likable characters, you know, and really love that, you know. And which is why I don't mind that in the middle of the movie where there is basically no action, you know, but because I think the movie does a great job make me care for the characters, you know. So when there's a big action sequence in the end, you feel the anger with the characters, you know, because I was getting angry with Chun Kako, you know, with Jackie Chan's characters, you know. I wasn't angry at the movie, but I was angry with the main character from the movie. And I really love that, you know, because I think that's the first time where I feel the same emotion with the main characters, you know, at least with the Jackie Chan movies, you know. And yeah, it clearly shows that why this is like one of the best action movies as well. And yeah, either way, guys, that's my review and I guess like a recap for Police Stories, you know. Let me know, guys, in the comment section below, you know, like what is your favorite action sequence, you know, like what is your first Jackie Chan movies, you know, and most importantly, and if you guys don't mind, you guys can share your first reaction, you know, watching Police Story for the first time, you know, because I remember watching Police Story for the first time. I was super surprised and super impressed how crazy Jackie Chan was and how brutal he was, you know, especially in a mall fight, you know. So yeah, let me know your opinions about that in the comment section below, you know, and maybe I'll review like the future Police Stories, you know, in the down the line, you know. We'll see, you know. But either way, guys, that's my movie reviews and recap and thoughts for Police Stories, you know. And if you guys enjoyed them, make sure to guys, you know, punch and shoot that subscribe and like button, you know, kick them as well. Why not, you know, to a glass preferably, you know. But either way, guys, stay tuned for more videos in the future, guys, you know. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.